In 1971, a factory worker could buy a three-bedroom house on a single income, raise three kids, take a summer vacation, and retire at 60 with a pension. Today, two college-educated professionals with six-figure household income are arguing about whether they can afford guacamole at Chipotle. Same country, same concept of work. Something changed, and it wasn't your work ethic. Here's a number that should bother you. 78% of American workers live paycheck to paycheck. But here's the part that really stings. That includes people earning over $100,000 a year. Read that again. Six figures. Still broke. Still one emergency away from financial chaos. We've been told our whole lives that the path to security is simple. Get educated. Get hired. Get promoted. Get paid. But if that system worked, why are the most credentialed, most employed generations in history also the most financially fragile? The answer isn't laziness. It's not avocado toast. It's not poor budgeting. The answer is structural. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's start with what a salary actually is. On the surface, it looks like compensation. You give your time. Your employer gives you money. Fair trade. But look closer. A salary is a number carefully calculated to be just high enough to keep you showing up and just low enough to keep you needing to. This isn't cynicism. This is business logic. Companies don't pay you based on the value you create. They pay you based on the minimum required to retain you. There's a name for this in economics. It's called the reservation wage. The lowest amount you'll accept before you walk. Your employer's goal is to find that number and stay as close to it as possible. Yours is to survive on it. Now, if your salary rose with your productivity, you'd eventually become financially independent. You'd have options, leverage. You'd be dangerous. But that's not what happens. Between 1979 and 2020, American worker productivity increased by nearly 60%. Wages over that same period, they grew by about 16% when adjusted for inflation. 60% more output, 16% more money. Where'd the rest go? Executive compensation rose over 1,300% during the same window. This isn't a conspiracy. It's just incentive structures doing exactly what they're designed to do. The company captures the upside. You capture a cost of living adjustment and a gift card at Christmas. Now, here's where it gets more uncomfortable. Let's say you're one of the lucky ones. You get a raise, 10%. You're thrilled. You tell your friends. You go out to dinner to celebrate. But something strange happens next. You upgrade your apartment. You finance a nicer car. You book a better vacation. You buy things that match your new status. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it is nearly universal. Studies show that for every dollar increase in income, spending increases by roughly the same amount, sometimes more, which means your raise didn't make you wealthier. It made you look wealthier. And those two things are not the same. Wealth is the money you don't spend. Income is the money you trade your life for. A high salary can still mean zero wealth if every dollar disappears into rent, car payments, student loans, daycare, insurance, subscriptions, and status. You're not getting ahead. You're running faster on the same treadmill. And here's the part almost nobody talks about. Salary income is the most heavily taxed form of income in existence. You earn $100,000? Depending on your state, you might take home $60,000 or $65,000. But if you made that same $100,000 from capital gains, you'd keep significantly more. In some structures, you might pay half the rate, or less. The tax code is not neutral. It is an incentive system. And it does not incentivize being an employee. It incentivizes owning, investing, building equity. The things your paycheck leaves you too exhausted and too cash-strapped to do. So let's pause and add this up. Your employer pays you the minimum to retain you. Productivity gains flow upward. Lifestyle inflation captures your raises. Taxes take a larger cut than almost any other income type. And you're supposed to build wealth from what's left? That's not a ladder. That's a trapdoor with nice lighting. Now, there's a defense mechanism built into all of this. It's called security. A salary feels safe, predictable. You know what's coming. You can plan around it. But let's look at what that security actually means. If you stopped working tomorrow, how long could you survive? 1 month? 3? 6 if you panic sold everything? That's not security. That's dependency with a direct deposit. And dependency is leverage. Leverage your employer has over you, which is why you tolerate the meetings that should have been emails, the Sunday anxiety, the boss who takes credit, the arbitrary performance reviews. You tolerate it because the alternative feels like free fall, and the system knows this. There's a concept in behavioral economics called the hedonic treadmill. It means that no matter how much your circumstances improve, your baseline happiness adapts. You get used to the new car, the bigger apartment, the better title. And you need more. Salaries exploit this beautifully. Every raise resets your expectations. Every promotion expands your lifestyle. And every expansion creates new obligations, new fixed costs, new reasons you can't afford to quit. This is called golden handcuffs. And they're not given to you. You build them yourself. One lifestyle upgrade at a time. Now zoom out. The economy runs on consumption. And consumption runs on workers spending everything they earn. If everyone saved aggressively, demand would collapse. Businesses would fail. Unemployment would spike. So the system needs you to spend. It needs you to upgrade. It needs you trapped, not out of malice, just out of structure. Your financial fragility is not a bug. It's a feature. It keeps you working. It keeps you buying. It keeps the engine running. And the tools designed to help you, the credit cards, the mortgages, the buy now, pay later apps, they don't help you build wealth. They help you maintain the illusion of prosperity while transferring your future income to lenders. You're not a customer. You're a product, a predictable stream of labor and consumption, optimized for extraction. So what's the alternative? Hustle culture says start a side business, work weekends, monetize your hobbies, sleep less, but that's not an escape. That's doubling down on the same exchange. More time for more money. The actual escape is ownership, not necessarily of a business, but of assets, things that generate income whether or not you show up. The wealthy don't work for money. They own things that make money. Real estate that pays rent. Stocks that pay dividends. Intellectual property that collects royalties. That's the game. And it's a different game than the one you were taught. But here's the uncomfortable part. Getting into that game requires capital. And capital requires surplus. And surplus requires spending less than you earn, which is nearly impossible when your rent takes 40%, your student loans take 15%, your car takes 10%, and your lifestyle expands to fill whatever's left. The trap isn't just psychological. It's mathematical. You can know the way out and still not be able to afford the ticket. This isn't a motivational video. There's no 5-step plan at the end. Because the truth is, the system is not broken. It's working exactly as intended. It produces workers who are educated enough to be useful, optimistic enough to keep trying, and broke enough to never stop. That's not a failure of the system. That's the design. So what do you do with that knowledge? Maybe the first step is just refusing to pretend it's fair. Refusing to blame yourself for outcomes shaped by structures older than you. Maybe it's rethinking what security really means. Not the comfort of a predictable paycheck, but the freedom to walk away from one. Maybe it's asking why the most radical financial act in modern America isn't buying crypto, or day trading, or starting a business. It's simply keeping more than you spend, and doing it long enough to matter. In 1930, the economist John Maynard Keynes predicted that by now, we'd all be working 15-hour weeks. Technology would be so advanced, productivity so high, that we have solved the problem of scarcity and entered an age of leisure. He was right about the productivity. We're hundreds of times more efficient than our grandparents, but we're not working 15 hours. We're working 50 and still struggling. All that extra output went somewhere, just not to you. The salary was never meant to make you rich. It was meant to make you manageable. And until you see it for what it is, you'll keep running, faster, harder, wondering why the finish line never gets any closer.